We're going to start by looking at some overpainting because I have this area of dried red paint that I'm going to use as my underpainting so I can paint over it. So overpainting is a technique that is used to block out areas of color and to sort of influence the overall look of a painting with a base color that might end up being completely covered up in the end. For example, you might use a blue toned underpainting to make a painting feel cold, or a yellow toned underpainting for something that is supposed to have that warm look to it overall. Purple is great to layer on for something that's shadowed and dark. So you can use that to sort of give a mood to your painting or to help you block out big shapes that you can work with later on. Now to address hard and soft edges of your paint strokes. If my brush is properly loaded, like it is right now, when I make a stroke of paint, it will leave a hard edge. That is a really defined area of paint. But if my brush has not got very much paint on it, like it currently does not, and I lightly brush with it, I can sort of soften up the edge. This can be useful for blending colors together, for having a paint color fade out into another color, or for shading with paint. Any of those techniques would want a soft edge. A hard edge is for when you want a very firmly defined area of paint. The soft edge technique is a perfect transition to discussing dry brush. Dry brush is when you remove a lot of the paint off of your paintbrush. Like you could see, I've tapped mine against my mixing palette, so that you can purposely only brush on a small amount of paint from a paintbrush that is relatively dry, hence the name dry brush. You would use dry brush technique to highlight a texture, to leave a soft area of color on top of another where you want the underneath color to show through as if you did some underpainting. You can see I'm putting just a little bit of purple on my brush here, sort of tapping it off to get rid of the excess and softly painting on my canvas so that I only just highlight the texture of the paint that's already there and the texture of the canvas and allow any color underneath to come through or to blend my purple with the existing color that's already there. So in review, overpainting is when you paint over an existing color that was placed underneath your paint on purpose to influence future layers. Hard edges are when you have a very firm, defined, sharp edge on your paint, as opposed to a soft edge when it's really fuzzy. Dry brush is when you use your paintbrush with not very much paint on purpose to create a soft area of paint or a texture with your paint.